Brother, stop hitting that fucking cable, man. You're driving me crazy.
Fucking inform me.
We recorded, by the way.
Shy.
Yeah, no, don't mind that shit.
Cool.
It's all good. Nah, I'll listen to it fucking many times anyway, so it's all fucking good. Start it off.
Bollocks shit. A spider on my hand. Fucking deadly.
Oh, let's get it.
Let's get it. What's the story, you little cunts? This week, we have a fucking horrible episode for you. We're doing serial killers. So last week and the week before, we had my good friend Luka's idea of conspiracy theories at the recommendation of his sister. So this week, we're doing a serial killer episode, like all good fucking shitty true crime podcasts that exist in the world. So we're going into this. Luka has no fucking idea about this fella. Not a lot of people do, actually. He's not your blockbuster, you know, John Wayne Gacy or Jeffrey Dahmer, but he's probably worse than those people. So,
well, I'm looking forward to it because, like, how we did both of these episodes, that I did one and Michael did one, we didn't tell each other what we're doing at all. So,
yeah.
like, I have no idea what the fuck are we in for, but I'm looking forward to it.
And I have to just for anyone that's gonna listen, right? This is fucking grim. Okay, it's graphic, it's horrible. So if you're anyway squeamish, fuck off away from us, because we're about to get real nasty up in this bitch with this little fucker.
Yeah, and all jokes that we make on account of this, please don't take it to heart. It's just for fun. Like,
yeah, obviously, like, everything that happened, absolutely terrible. Real people died, all of that stuff. But at the same time, you know, we're not that serious. It's a bit of crack. So today we're going to be talking about the Toybox killer. Now, if anybody knows about the Toybox killer, then you know what you're expecting. And if anybody doesn't, well, fucking buckle up, because it's about to get real fucking slimy. So, the Toybox killer, his name was David Ray Parker. He was a mechanic and a state ranger. So, you know, good with his hands, big strong boy like him. And he was born, for context, in 1939 in Belen, New Mexico. So, David Ray Parker, as usual, as with all serial killers, guess what his childhood was like?
probably shit.
It was great. Disneyland and everything. No, obviously it was fucking terrible, because, you know, bad childhoods make terrible adults, and terrible adults tend to murder people horrifically. So, you know, your usual sick upbringing, fucking awful mother, violent alcoholic father, you know, standard. The dad fucked off, as they do. Shout out to the old man.
Went out to get some milk.
Never came back. Yeah, so when his dad fucked off, his ma was like, well, sure, I don't want these little fucking kids. I'm not having these kids. So fucked him and the sister off to the grandparents' house.
Fuck them kids.
Yeah, honestly, who gives a fuck about them? I mean, listen, don't fuck them kids, because serial killers happen because of your actions. But sure, look, it is what it is. So anyway, his life was pretty shit at home. Standard, alco dad, shite mother, fucked off to live with the grandparents. Guess how his life was in school?
Was he very good at school?
Ah, you fucking couldn't be more wrong.
Really?
Yeah, he was awful.
I mean, a lot of people that are classified as serial killers tend to be really intelligent and, like, do really good at fucking school.
I mean, come here, to get away with the stuff he got away with, he's not 100% stupid. You know, he's no fucking plank, like, but...
Okay.
But school was rough for him, we'll say. You know, bullied, appearance, shy. The usual, you know, the main reasons fucking kids get bullied. They look different. they're not handsome, they're fat, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Shy with girls. But obviously, like, the parental trauma, the fucking bullying. So at an early age, he kind of got into S&M and bondage.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, 8 years old, you want to be bound and gagged. Why not? Of course you do. It's a great time. So is that kind of helped to fuel that? Because I assume he didn't fuck off, but he like left the family, so he's still around to some extent. But his dad would like buy him bondage fucking porn.
Ah, no.
Yeah, and bear in mind, so he was born in 1939. So to get bondage porn in like the mid 40s,
Yeah.
it's weird stuff. It's fucking seedy, back alley weird nonsense. Like,
Yeah, you had to know somebody to get that kind of
you
shit.
don't just
yeah.
fucking bondage.com or whatever, you know what I mean? There was none of that.
Yeah, not like these good times.
You're getting like old fucking photos that are taken without consent of someone fucking wrapped up.
Went and bought some Polaroid pictures of bondage porn.
Yeah, so his dad was buying him like really
Fucked up shit.
violent fucking bondage porn and like fueling his weird desires. So obviously, you know, that's not fucking any good. He's already had it bad enough, but like by the time he's in his early teens, his outfit is going, look, you can tie people up and have the crack with them. So
Yeah, let's keep it 100. That man didn't have a fucking chance.
no,
Like, they really didn't give him a chance to fucking live normal life.
yeah, absolutely bollocks. Like, he's fucked. But so despite being a shit student and fucking bullied and the whole lot, he did graduate high school in 1957.
Okay.
So fair play to him. Congratulations, you achieved something. And when he finished high school, that's when he started working like odd jobs as a mechanic. So, you know, like back in the 50s and the 60s, it was just like, you're finished school. Come in here, I teach you how to fucking change a cylinder on an engine. Like, and that's just what you did.
Yeah, you just show up somewhere and they show you how to do shit.
Your dad's mate would just give you a job in the fucking garage, and then that's just what you do. So he was a mechanic for a good while. And then he kind of became a drifter. You know, he's taking all the fucking serial killer boxes here.
Yeah.
He's playing serial killer bingo and he's fucking absolutely smashing it.
Yeah, he went down the whole checklist.
Yeah.
Like, did everything.
What do I need to be a serial killer? Childhood trauma, bullying, fucking a weird fetish, you know.
Drifter.
Not too bright. A drifter. Socially awkward. All the good stuff. So after a few years of drifting around, doing his odd jobs, being a mechanic, he settled in a town called Elephant Butte.
What?
Elephant Butte.
Where the fuck is that?
It's in New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yeah, because why not? And it's Elephant, Butte. Elephant Butte.
Butte.
Elephant Butte.
Okay.
So, of course he settled in Elephant Butte. Why wouldn't he? So, when he settled in Elephant Butte, he got involved in like a BDSM
Scene.
Yeah, a little underground, seedy fucking BDSM
Okay,
shit.
I want to know, are we talking here about a little kinky, you know, you spank me, I spank you, or, you know, you whip my back until
I
it
think
bleeds?
it's whips and straps and leather and masks, all the good stuff.
Like a hardcore shit.
Oh yeah, it's underground. You know what I mean? If it's an underground BDSM scene, then you don't want people to know you're involved.
Okay, no,
It's not a few spanks on the arse and
I was thinking, no, maybe a little finger in the ass type of deal, you know.
nipple clamps and
Yeah.
all the good stuff. No, not the good stuff.
My man said all the good stuff.
Listen, we don't kink shame on this podcast. You enjoy whatever you like. So he got involved in that anyway, having a nice kinky life for himself in Elephant Butte, and he started working as a maintenance man for the New Mexico Parks Department.
Oh, okay.
This is relevant because he had access to certain sites of land, you know, where maybe there's nobody around for fucking miles. He has access to this stuff. He knows where quiet
nobody
parts
goes.
of the park. Yeah. He knows all that shit because he's working in all the parks. He lived in Elephant Butt. He settled in Elephant Butt. He got some butt plugs up his butt in Elephant Butt. But he worked in the parks department in a nearby town. And you're not going to fucking believe the name of this town. This is the best name for a town ever, by the way. And the backstory to why it's called that, I've got that queued up for you. So he worked in a town called Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
I don't believe you,
I
man.
fucking swear to God, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
How the fuck does something like that happen in real life, man?
Well, funny you ask. So, in the fucking 30s or 40s, whatever, there was a radio show that was called Truth or Consequences with some fucking American dude. I don't know what his name was. But it was like massive. It was a massive show. And the host said he would host the show from the first city that changed its name to Truth or Consequences. And this town went, fucking sign us up. We're all for it. So they changed the name of the town to Truth or Consequences. And then your man hosted the show there. And they just went, we'll leave it. We'll leave it Truth or Consequences. Why not? And so that's why it's called Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
What kind of reach and influence that this man had when he was in a position to say, name a town after my radio show? Was he like fucking Michael Jordan of radio?
Maybe.
I suppose.
But that's America for America. Fuck yeah.
I mean, like
We
that.
name towns after radio shows.
Like, I know that the serial killer fella is the main point of this whole podcast, but props to that radio host show. You were balling back in the day, son.
Like Howard Stern of the 30s.
I guess so.
He's
That's crazy.
Large and in charge. But yeah, so he worked in Truth or Consequences anyway. Which is just, you couldn't fucking write it, you know what I mean? It's brilliant. So this is where he would often pick up his victims in Truth or Consequence. Because, you know, you tell me the truth or you get the consequence, I'm going to pick you up and we're going for a jollier. So, obviously when he moved to Elephant Butt, got settled in, start working in Truth or Consequences, that's when he evolved, shall we say, from his little kinky nighttime business, and he started to get a little bit spicier,
Okay.
shall we say. A
Yeah.
little bit spicier. Basically, this is what he did, right? So David Ray Parker, he built a homemade torture chamber out of a cargo trailer, and he soundproofed it and he filled it with all sorts of shit. I'm talking about fucking torture devices, you know, weapons, all sorts of kinky weird shit. And he fucking had a good old time for himself.
Wait, like he made it himself?
He made himself. He spent over $100,000 putting this fuck truck together. And he called it his Toybox. So that's why he's the Toybox killer.
Why would you call it? That's so disgusting.
It couldn't have. He should have just called it a fuck truck like I just did. It's much better. It's way less creepy to call it a fuck truck than to call it your Toybox.
Look, you can tell he's a fucked up person because you built something that is obviously shouldn't be related to kids in any way, and then you call it a name that people associate with children.
Yeah.
You know, like that word Toybox, when you hear a word Toybox, what is the first thing you think of? Children playing with toys.
Maybe when he was a kid, he didn't have any toys. This is why the childhood trauma is important, because he probably didn't have toys. He went, I'm going to have some toys and I'm going to do whatever I want with those toys and I'm going to play with them and nobody can tell me nothing.
Yeah, some disgusting toys.
You know, yeah, like some fucking... You can't understand the logic of these type of people, but like there has to be some sort of twisted fucking reason in his head that he goes, yeah, toy box, that's the right word for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of get it, like, a box, because the fucking trailer is a box, right? And, like, sex toys and weird BDSM toys are still called toys. So it
Yeah.
does make sense, toy box, but, like, Nobody thinks of that when they hear
Yeah,
a
but
toy
you could
box.
just keep your dildos in a box under the bed and call that a toy box. You don't spend $100,000 building a trailer and going, this is the toy box now.
Yeah, I hear you. I still think you shouldn't call it a toy box.
Floor to ceiling with dildos. Just
You know, you're at home, it's getting hot and heavy, and your girlfriend's like, oh, let me go grab the toy box. Like, no, the fuck you not. That's fucking weird.
gonna take out some Hot Wheels and start fucking driving them over your arse. Because why not? Fucking, that's what I would expect. Not a bleeding double-ended fucking arsehole destroyer. But sure, look, this is the sort of stuff that you get. So, nobody knows for sure when he started picking up victims and committing the crimes, because he got away with what he was doing for so fucking long. Like, for context, he was born in 1939, right? He wasn't caught until like 1997. So like recent. This is recent.
I mean, yeah, that's the year I was born.
There you go.
And
like, I was 4 when this fella was caught.
Wait, 1939 to 1997.
Yep.
Fuck me, that fella had a long run.
Oh, he had a good old run,
God damn.
by all accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when he started picking up his victims anyway from Truth or Consequences, our new favourite town, he would pick them up and he'd bring them back to his toy box, you know, which is horrible to say.
As you do.
As you do, you bring them back to your toy box. And they would, by all accounts, find themselves strapped to a makeshift gynecological chair. Yeah, your face there was...
Yeah.
For the listeners, you didn't see the face, but you probably all made the same face. So, when they woke up strapped to this chair, the first thing that would happen is they would hear a tape being played. Like, this motherfucker is Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to play a game. So, they'd wake up. Obviously, they don't know where the fuck they are. They probably got drugged. They're walloped over the head. You can't move. You're strapped down. It's probably dark.
Long story short, it's like you're freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, you're absolutely tripping your fucking balls off. And then the first thing that you hear is this absolutely horrific tape, which, thanks to the power of our new friend, young Jay Oimi, we're going to play a transcript of part 1 of the tape. There are 4 parts, but part 1 is enough. I think if we play part 2, 3 and 4, we might get arrested. So part 1, I'm going to let you listen to it and see how you get on.
Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable right now? I doubt it. Wrists and ankles chained, gagged, probably blindfolded. You are disoriented and scared too, I would imagine. Perfectly normal, under the circumstances. For a little while, at least. You need to get your shit together and listen to this tape. It is very relevant to your situation. I'm going to tell you, in detail, why you have been kidnapped, what's going to happen to you, and how long you'll be here. I don't know the details of your capture, because this tape is being created July the 23rd, 1993, is a general advisory tape for future female captives. The information I'm going to give you is based on my experience dealing with captives over a period of several years. If, at a future date, there are any major changes in our procedures, the tape will be upgraded. Now, you are obviously here against your will, totally helpless. Don't know where you're at, don't know what's gonna happen to you. You're very scared, or very pissed off. I'm sure that you've already tried to get your wrists and ankles loose, and no you can't. Now you're just waiting to see what's gonna happen next. You probably think you're gonna be raped and you're fucking sure right about that. Our primary interest is in what you've got between your legs. You'll be raped thoroughly and repeatedly, in every hole you've got, because, basically, you've been snatched and brought here for us to train and use as a sex slave. Sound kinda far out? Well, I suppose it is to the uninitiated, but we do it all the time. It's gonna take a lot of adjustment on your part, and you're not gonna like it a fucking bit, but I don't give a big rat's ass about that. It's not like you're gonna have any choice about the matter. You've been taken by force, and you're going to be kept and used by force. What all this amounts to is that you're gonna be kept naked and chained up like an animal, to be used and abused any time we want to, any way that we want to, and you might as well start getting used to it, because you're gonna be kept here and used until such time as we get tired of fucking around with you, and we will, eventually, in a month or 2, maybe 3, it's no big deal. My lady friend and I have been keeping sex slaves for years. We both have kinky hang-ups involving rape, dungeon games, etc. We found that it is extremely convenient to keep 1 or 2 female captives available constantly to satisfy our particular needs. We are very selective when we snatch a girl to use for these purposes. It goes without saying that you have a fine body and you're probably young. Maybe very young, because, for our purposes, we prefer to snatch girls in the early to mid-teens, sexually developed, but still small-bodied, scared shitless, easy to handle and easy to train, and they usually have tight little pussies and assholes. They make perfect slaves. Any time that we go on a hunting trip, if we can't find a little teenager, we usually start hitting the gay bars, look for a well-built, big-titted lesbian. I thoroughly enjoy raping and screwing around with lesbians, and there's not as much danger of them carrying a sexually transmitted disease. And I don't like using condoms. Also, even though they're a little older, unless they've been playing with dildos a lot, they still have tight holes between their legs, like the younger girls. If we can't find a lesbian that we want, we snatch anything that is young, clean and well built. We very seldom come back empty-handed, 'cause there's plenty of bitches out there to choose from, and, with a little practice and deception, most of them is very easy to get, with little risk. At this point, it makes little difference what category you fall into. You're here and we're gonna make the most of it. You're going to be kept in a hidden slave room. It is relatively soundproof, escape-proof, and it is completely stocked with devices and equipment to satisfy our sexual fetishes and deviations. There may or may not be another girl in the room. Occasionally, for variety, we like to keep 2 slaves at the same time. In either case, as the new girl, you'll definitely be getting the most attention for a while. Now, as I said earlier, you're going to be kept like an animal. I guess I've been doing this too long. I've been raping bitches ever since I was old enough to jerk off and tie little girls' hands behind their back. As far as I'm concerned, you're a pretty piece of meat to be used and exploited. I don't give a flying fuck about your mind or how you feel about this situation. You may be married, have a kid or 2, boyfriend, girlfriend, a job, car payment, fuck it. I don't give a rat's ass about any of that, and I don't want to hear about it. It's something you're gonna have to deal with after you're turned loose. I make it a point never to like a slave, and I fucking sure don't have any respect for you. Here, your status is no more than that of one of the dogs, or of one of the animals out in the barn. Your only value to us is the fact that you have an attractive, usable body, and, like the rest of our animals, you will be fed and watered, kept in good physical condition, kept reasonably clean and allowed to use the toilet when necessary. In return, you're gonna be used hard, especially during your first few days while you're new and fresh. You're gonna be kept chained in a variety of different positions, usually with your legs or knees forced wide apart.
Fucking Jesus Christ, man.
Now that's part 1.
Fuck me.
Part 1. There are 3 more parts of equal length, and it gets fucking worse with every part as the tape goes on.
Yeah, like, I know that we usually do comedy shit, brother. After hearing that, I cannot even, like, I don't feel good making a joke about anything.
It's grim.
That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. Like he said, I've been raping bitches since I was old enough to jerk off.
What the
And this was in this tape was made in 1993. He made the tape in 93. He was born in 39. So for anyone who's quick with maths, you know.
Yeah, but it's fucking crazy to me because obviously he was doing awful physical things to these people that he was capturing. How is that not enough? Why do you have to mentally torture them as well? Degrade them like that, man. You know, rape is like such an awful thing for anybody to experience it. It's something that leaves you scarred for life. It's not something that you can just get over. Even the attacker doesn't kill you at the end. That's still, you will never forget that. You will never be able to not be a person that was once raped. But on top of all of that, this man decided to degrade these people as well, mentally.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, like this, that's not.
Yeah.
What?
It's crazy. That tape was made in 1993 and he was caught in 1997, if I remember correctly. We'll get to that when we get to that. But in 1986, his adult daughter, Glenda Jean Jessie Ray, trailer park trash,
Yeah, facts.
told the FBI that her father was abducting and torturing women before selling them over the border in Mexico. Now, if I'm in the FBI, that's something I'm going to look into, you know? Somebody comes and says, yeah, listen, my old lad's catching women and raping them and torturing them and fucking selling them to Mexico. You're going to take that seriously.
Yeah,
You would hope.
even if it's a false thing, if somebody comes saying something like that, you at least have to send. You don't have 500 manpower, put the whole department on it, but have one person look into that.
Yeah, do a bit of research, look into it.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They didn't. Her allegations were never followed up. You know? So, good job, FBI. So, Ray's daughter, Jessie Ray, eventually became his accomplice. You know, because as you do, you can't beat them, join them, as they say.
Yeah.
So,
No, but like, this started off bad. How is it constantly getting worse? It just keeps getting worse and worse.
it keeps on. It keeps on keeping on. So, buckle up. So, in 1997, it's a lot of jumping around, but it was a very secretive operation he was running. He wasn't on any watch lists. Nobody suspected anything. There was no evidence of anything. So, in 1997, our good friend, the Toybox killer, he met Cindy Hindi. Not making that name up. Cindy Hindi. Right? A 37-year-old mother of three on the run from the police who had ditched her kids and fucking yipped across the country to get away from the coppers. You know? Just the type of woman that he likes. So, of course, once he met her, he said, hey, you don't like kids or anything, let's go. They start working together, obviously, became partners sexually, as well as partners in crime. Good stuff.
Of course they have,
Of course. So he trained this Cindy Hindi person to be his accomplice, and together they started, or continued, I suppose, to kidnap and abuse women. Got to the point where he made an 18-point instructional guide titled Psychological and Physical Procedures, Initial Handling of the Captive Personal Fetish, which was taped to the wall in the Toybox. He had his fucking step-by-step training guide sellotaped to the wall in the Toybox.
So you're telling me that this fucking guy got so proficient at kidnapping and raping people that he had a fucking onboarding process?
Yeah.
Was
for new starters.
Was there an HR department and shit? What the fuck, man?
I don't think he had a complaints department, but he certainly had somebody in charge of personnel. So, yeah, taped this fucking instructional guide to his $100,000 torture chamber and said, that's a good decorations for it. Is a step by step of how I'm going to fuck you up. He had a mirror on the ceiling over the gynecological chair. So not only were you getting raped and everything else, but you got to see it in fucking 4K HD straight over your head. Because like it's a cargo trailer, so it's only so tall. So the mirror is fucking close to you, like while you're on this chair. So there's no, you could close your eyes, I suppose, but like, what can you do? He would often force them to watch, like, obviously. Part of his kink, like, was making sure that they looked at what he was doing so he could get the satisfaction of having that control. The women would listen to the tape that he would play, and the full tape is 45 minutes long. So I only played like 4.5, 5 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So the full tape is 45 minutes long, which is, fuck me, like, how much more stuff could he say?
Yeah, he was doing a fucking podcast episode.
He went into it. So, but at the end of the tape, we're not going to play the whole tape because we don't need to fucking inflict trauma on our listeners.
Yeah, there's no need to be listening to that shit, man.
No. So at the end of the tape, he told women that he would drug them with sodium pentanol and phenobarbital so that they couldn't remember what happened. So he'd often drug them, and when he was done with them, he would let them loose in the confidence that they wouldn't be able to fucking remember anything. You know?
So he wasn't killing these women.
Well, we'll get to that.
Oh, of course, it gets worse. Yes,
at a
obviously.
later date, we'll get to that. At the end of the tape, when he told them he drugged them with that little concoction, he would also say, "You're not going to remember a fucking thing about this little adventure. You won't remember this place, us, or what has happened to you." That was how he would end the tape. Like, so, for fuck's sake, like. Then, in 1994, I say then, we're going backwards in time again. In 1994, a 20-year-old Kelly Van Cleve moved from Kansas City to Truth or Consequences, stay in Kansas. She married a man by the name of Patrick Murphy, so Irish.
Yeah,
The
very
most
Irish.
Irish man in America in 1996. But, as is the way, the marriage wasn't great. You know, they had problems. One night, they had a big fucking fight. Big, massive fight. She fucked off to a bar to meet her friend, who just happened to be Jessie Ray, the daughter of the Toybox killer. Jessie drove them over to old Papa Dearest's house.
To the pop's house.
Yeah. And he overpowered Kelly, held a knife to her throat, put a dog collar around her neck, and covered her face in duct tape, as one does. Then he took her to the toy box, because this thing, bear in mind, this toy box is fucking 15 feet from his front door. Like, he has the trailer parked up outside his house, because to anybody else it just looks like a trailer that he has parked up.
Yeah.
You know, and I assume, I don't know much about Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, or Elephant, but I'd imagine they're rural enough. So probably nobody even thinks twice of, he's got a fucking trailer there.
Yeah, and like your first neighbor is probably like 50, 60 meters in each direction, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
not like fucking attached houses to each other
Yeah,
that you have
exactly.
so many people
So
living
you
around
wouldn't
you.
drive past and go, your man's got a trailer there, that's a
Yeah.
little bit funky.
I mean, now thinking about it, how you mentioned that the FBI didn't really give a fuck about what his daughter was saying, it kind of makes sense. It was back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, you know?
Yeah.
So many people got away with shit back in the day because, well, forensics was not up to modern day standards, you know?
Exactly. And also, like, you know, people would just pick up hitchhikers and get murdered and nobody would ever hear from them again. And that was like a regular thing that would happen.
Yeah, that was just what happened.
So like, somebody just fucking disappears. Like, we're not going to find them. Why bother looking? You know,
Yeah.
like you said, we don't have DNA evidence. We don't have any of that shit to follow. So they took Kelly to the toy box and she could see saws, chains, whips, clamps, cattle prods, fucking bottles of oil, metal bars, you know, all sorts of fucking shit that you could think of. They also had in the toy box a medical cabinet full of syringes, obviously to administer the fucking forget-me-nots.
Drugs, yeah.
You know. So the special chair that he had it hooked up to a rail on the floor so he could move it. The rail was like 6 foot long, and he had it like he wasn't dumb because he had this shit rigged up on a fucking remote control, so you could like press fucking either side and it'd go to the opposite end of the trailer or whatever.
For the time, it happened in very sophisticated shit.
Yeah, you know, fucking $100,000 worth of gear like in 1984. That's a serious amount of money to be spending. You're gonna have the top-notch sex torture devices.
Yeah, but no, what I'm trying to say is like back in the 80s, a regular ass civilian person even having something like that moved with a remote control is a very sophisticated thing.
Yeah.
You know, obviously these days it's just whatever. You can buy that shit for probably like €500, you know, no, like it's just a regular technology now. I'm just saying, to put it in perspective, he obviously was tech savvy enough, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He had some level of intelligence that was above average till he could rig that sort of shit up because obviously he can't ring up the fucking sex chair torture man and have him install a chair for him.
Yeah.
He had to get that shit himself and put it together himself and make sure it all fucking worked. So he had some sort of skill, which I assume he got from like his days as a mechanic. Like, you know, that's why it was relevant that he was a mechanic, because he had to do all that shit himself.
Yeah.
So as well as the chair that moved on the fucking 6 foot long rail, he also in the toy box had a 7 foot tall coffin that was standing upright at the end and it had like air holes drilled into it. So if they weren't in the chair, they were fucking being kept in the coffin. Like standing up in the coffin, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So like obviously it had fucking straps and shit, so maybe like strapped up, maybe at an angle, but still like not
lying down, resting.
You're not comfortable, yeah. You're fucking constantly like being put under some sort of physical strain. So not fun. Not fun for the toy box people. So Kelly was tortured for 3 days before Ray, and get this, drove her home.
He personally drove her back to her house.
Brought her back to the husband. You know? He drove her home and he told her husband that he found her walking aimlessly on the beach.
And she obviously couldn't remember anything because of the drugs.
Has no fucking clue. So the husband obviously just believed that the wife was, you know, out drinking, went on a bender for 3 days. He assumed that she was cheating on him then because she hadn't been home for so long and she came home with a different man. So he kicked her out.
Oh, Lord.
You know? Kicked her out of the house.
Like, obviously, hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
You know, from his perspective at the moment, it's a fair decision. But listening to it now is like, oh, you made such an awful thing. But it's not his fault.
Yeah. So that's fucking kicked her out anyway. So then we jump forward, and in 1999, drivers were passing by and they spotted something horrific. A young woman was running down the road in the middle of the New Mexico afternoon heat. So, like, broad fucking daylight, blazing sun in the sky, completely naked, except for a padlocked dog collar around her neck that was attached to a 5 foot length of chain. Right? Imagine driving down the road, naked board dog collar, tearing up the street.
Yeah, you stop.
The fuck is going on?
Yeah, you're gonna look into that. Like, you're not
unless you work for the FBI, in which case you're gonna go, it's not my problem. So this woman was covered in blood. She had a really big fucking cut on her scalp, like a large cut. And contrary to what you just said, despite being in distress, not a single driver stopped to let this woman in to their car. Not a single person stopped.
Okay, I'm just gonna add this. You probably don't stop yourself. you probably call somebody who's getting paid to deal with those kinds of situations and who knows what to do. Because realistically, this is a question for anybody who's listening. You are driving down the road, there's a woman obviously in distress, fully naked. Do you personally approach her? I think not. I think 99% of people wouldn't approach her.
I might roll down the window and go, "Are you alright? What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah, but she starts running towards your car because she's getting away from this fucking horrible murderer, serial rapist, and she starts running towards your car. Are you gonna be like, "Oh yeah, hop in the back"? I don't think you would. You would roll up the window, lock the doors, and be like, "Geez, like what the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, true.
No, I'm just like, I can see how that could happen. That nobody
Yeah.
stopped.
Fair, I suppose. Like it's all well and good, like you said, to say after the fact, to be like, "Oh yeah, no, you considering what she was going through, you'd help her," but you don't know what she's going through. Maybe she's a lunatic, you know? Maybe she's a fucking nutcase.
Being there at that time and seeing that, you absolutely have no idea will this woman jump into the back seat of your car and strangle you.
Yeah, with the 5 foot length of chain that's wrapped around her.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you said, you don't know, is she on drugs? Is she like genuinely just fucking insane and has no problem taking somebody's life? But now again, taking it back to the time when it happened, were cell phones readily available back in those days?
This was in 99, so
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah, I mean, you probably would have had some sort of a phone in your pocket.
Yeah, you would have like a Nokia 3310 or some shit. You would be
Yeah.
able to make a call
Yeah.
from your car anyways.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, I suppose it depends on what elephant butt or truth or consequences are like, but you know, some of the more like rural fucking, you don't have the Nokia shop in your shopping centre yet, but
Yeah.
it existed. It was there. You know, it's possible.
Like, I'm just gonna say this. I don't blame anybody for not stopping, but if nobody told authorities shit, then your viewers are fucking dickheads.
Yeah.
Just gonna say that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair theory to have on it. So this woman, anyway, her name was Cynthia Vigil. So nobody stopped for her. So she ran into like, there was a mobile home near where she was. So she ran in and was like, "Any help?" Obviously. The mobile home belongs to a woman called Darlene Breach and her husband. And they were sitting there watching telly. And this fucking naked woman comes in covered in blood, dog collar, chain, the whole crack. So Darlene said she came straight in wearing nothing except the chains around her neck and was crying. She was bloody, very bloody, and was a terrified girl. Cynthia screamed, "Don't let them get me." That was it. Burst in your door, don't let them get me. It later emerged that Cynthia had escaped after 3 days of torture by Ray and his accomplice, Cindy Hindi. Ray dubbed himself a sexual scientist and kept graphic and disturbing notes on his crimes. So he obviously got to the point where he was so confident that he wouldn't get caught that he's writing shit down and going, fucking this is what we did to this person, or, you know.
A lot of them people like to keep notes and shit,
Yeah.
you know. It's a weird obsession.
Yeah, crazy, just keeping notes and fucking having a diary.
Wanna continue this on in part 2?
Yes, we will have to do a 2-parter because we've got some more stuff to talk about in relation to this. So we'll leave off at Cynthia getting a bit of help and we'll pick it up in part 2.
Alright, see you all at part 2. Bye bye.